All right, so we're given slope-intercept form here, and today we are going to be using the B method to write linear equations. So first off, we have to make sure that we always find the slope and the y-intercept are the two things that we have to have in order to write any equation in slope-intercept form. So for our first one, you can pause the video and you can actually write down all of the steps. We start with the equation y equals mx plus b, then we plug the slope in for m, plug the value x in for x and the y value for y. We actually solve for b, and then our fifth one is our answer. We write the equation in slope-intercept form using the slope and the y-intercept. All right, so you can pause the video now and then you can write down those steps. They're very, very important. We are going to go to the next problem, and if you want to come back and try this one, you can. So write an equation for the line that goes through the point with the given slope. If I give you the slope m of 1/2 and then a point 4, -8, I'm giving you the x and the y value in y equals mx plus b. So we already know right off the bat that slope is 1/2. We are trying to find the b value. So my steps are write the equation y equals mx plus b. 2, we are going to write y equals 1/2 x plus b. 3, we are going to replace the y and the x values. So -8 equals 1/2 times 4 plus b. B is now our only value here, or variable here, and so that's what we have to actually solve for. 4 is actually solving for it, so we're going to take 1/2 of 4, which is 2, and then we're going to move that 2 over to the other side. So we should do that by subtracting 2, so I'm going to get -8 minus 2 is equal to -10, which is our b value here. Now that I have our b value of -10, I can write the equation y is equal to 1/2 x minus 10, and that is our answer. All right, so if we aren't not given the slope, we still follow the same rules. The only difference is that we actually have to solve for the slope first. So we are given 2 points, which means we have to do the slope formula. In our case, we're going to subtract the 2 y values since we have x comma y here. Okay, we want to take our y values and subtract them, and then our x values and subtract them. So I'm going to take 4 minus a -2 divided by 1 minus 3. And I'm given +6 because 4 minus a -2 is 4 plus 2 over 1 minus 3, which is -2. When we simplify that, we get -3, so we know that our slope is -3. Now that I have my slope, I can actually go through the steps to find the y-intercept or solve for b. Now, I'm given 2 points, which means I can choose either one of them to solve for b. It doesn't matter. We're going to get the same answer regardless. So let's go through those steps. Our first step, state y equals mx plus b. Step 2, we're going to replace the slope with our actual slope that we found. Step 3, we're going to replace the y and the x values. Now I'm going to choose 1, 4, but like I said, it doesn't matter which point you choose. So 4 is equal to -3 times 1 plus b. Now I'm going to solve for b. Now -3 times 1 is -3. If I want to move that -3 to the other side to get b by itself, I'm going to add 3 to both sides. So I'm going to get 4 plus 3, which is 7, is equal to b. Now that I have both my b value and my m value here, I can actually write my equation. Y is equal to -3x plus 7. And we have found both the slope and the y-intercept and written the equation of a line that goes through 2 points. Now, what if we're given the equations written in function notation? we still do the exact same thing. We just have to understand what is our x and what is our y values given these, or given the function notation. So we know that function notation states that we write our equation as f of x is equal to the y value here. So I have our x values and our y values. And then I just do the exact same thing. If you want to write it in coordinate point form, you totally can, but you don't have to. So I'm going to show you guys how to find the slope and the y-intercept given function notation. First, we have to figure out the slope. So I'm going to subtract the y's, and then I'm going to subtract the x's. So I have -2 minus 0 divided by 3 minus a -1. -2 minus 0, -2, over -3 minus a -1 is 3 plus 1, which is 4. This simplifies to -1 over 2. And I found my slope. Now, we have to solve for b. So we follow the steps. Y equals mx plus b. Then, step 2, we replace the slope with what we found. Y is equal to -1/2 x plus b. Step 3, we're going to replace the y and the x values. Now, it does not matter what point we choose. So I'm going to choose -1, 0 here. My y value is 0, and my x value is -1. So I have -1/2 times 1 plus, times -1 plus b. Now, we just solve for b. -1/2 times a -1 is a +1/2. Now, I have a +1/2, and I subtract that from both sides in order to get b by itself. So we know that -1/2 is equal to our b value here. Now, we have both -1/2 as our slope and our y-intercept. That's just a coincidence. That doesn't mean it's always going to happen when you have fractions or anything like that. But our fifth step and our final one, because we are writing an equation, is y is equal to -1/2 x minus 1/2. All right? So this is -1/2 x, not -1 over 2x. All right? So really, we should have this in parentheses like this when we have the fraction, just so we know that it's not, the variable is not attached to that bottom 2 here. All right, so instead of function notation, what if I give you guys a graph? We still have to do the exact same thing. And we notice that our line is crossing between 0 and 1 on the y-axis. So we know that we're going to end up with a fraction, and that's okay. That happens all the time. We can still do the equation just fine, and we just have to follow the steps. Now, because I'm given a graph, I don't have to do the slope formula, but I still have to find the slope. So I can go from one point to the other. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, which is my change in the y. So that's the top number, over, and then the change in the x. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we know that it's 2 over 6. Now I look at my line, and we know that this is a positive slope, so I have to make sure that my slope is positive. And this simplifies to 1 over 3. Now, we have our slope. Now I can go through the process of finding the b value. Y is equal to y is equal to mx plus b. Next step, y is equal to 1 over 3 x plus b. Then I replace the y and the x values. Now, I'm not given a coordinate point, but I do have the dots here, and so I can figure that out. Now, I know this dot is 1, 1, and this point here is -5, -1. It doesn't matter which one we use. I'm going to use 1, 1 here. So I'm going to have 1 is equal to 1/3 times 1 plus b. Now, when I multiply this out, I get 1/3 times 1, which is 1/3, and then I'm going to subtract it over. So I'm going to get 2/3 is equal to b, and our slope, or our equation, is going to be y is equal to 1/3 x plus 2/3. And that's it.